And we are live. Welcome to the Digital Renegade Podcast. I'm your host, Dashing Rogue, and with my frequent sidekick, Artistic Layman.
Hey, so I'm gonna need a Batman to sign for this.
Oh, a man? So a Batgirl couldn't be competent enough
His name is on the registration.
Yep.
Yeesh.
Fuck. Has feminism gone too far, or is it just march on?
It's a bit dated, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, at this point, these people are just, I don't even like to use the term ideologically possessed because it takes away agency from people and accountability by extension. But these people are just, they're lost cause. Hey, Redix. Nice. You got yourself a new, how should you say it? A new icon. That's pretty cool. But yeah, welcome everyone. We are live, and we're gonna get started tonight. So that was the Bard version of, I believe, what was it? Luke?
Of Gyara's theme from JoJo.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I like it. That's something you could probably put in a fucking D&D campaign if you want to, if you ever have a D&D session.
I really like these modern medieval song channels. They're so fun. They're very creative.
Yeah, that's one of the things I also like.
Medieval.
I think that there's plenty of culture out there. We have an entire discography from like the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, even 20s for that matter. We could easily do remixes. Like some of the most interesting genres of music I enjoy are ultimately, remixed music. So like not cyberpunk, synthwave, that was trying to capture Tangerine Dream. Then you have swing. Electro swing, which is basically copying over the 1920s with like hip hop and rap kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some of that stuff is really, really good. But this is not. But what we're going to talk about before we can get deep into this is the reason we need to title this podcast is the death, rebirth of the actor and writer and other stories. So. What I wanted to really bring this up, Luke, can you pull up the picture of Ariel? It's Ariel with Ariel from the new Little Mermaid.
The one with the new one or
the new one? Yeah, the new one.
See,
I bring this up because apparently China, being the racist assholes that they are, right? The shitlords of the freaking of the world. Because let's be frank, the Russians are the assholes, but the Chinese are the fucking dicks because they have to they're compensating. They managed to whitewash this character.
Let's see, where's the best shot of her?
You could very well argue.
There she is.
The mystery.
There she is.
There she is. The mystery. There she is.
Red hair, red hair underwater.
Yeah, which again, I think the locks underwater could be cool, like just as an effect, right? But
although I don't know if they're going to
make anything with it.
Although I am curious if they're going to make Atlantis an underwater, like a We Was Kings kind of theme.
They are.
I have no idea. That would make sense, though.
Okay, it's the Atlantis of Jason Momoa, I guess. I don't know.
Well,
that's
kind of we had a conversation that inspired that little comment, but we'll get to that later.
So, Luke, you could probably find it online right now. Can you show the Chinese corrected version of it, or I should say the culturally sensitive version for the Chinese? And I say that because let's be frank, the Chinese did this. The fucking Chinese,
they're not a fan of black people. In case you didn't know.
Do not like black people. They are some of the most racist assholes on the fucking planet Earth. And every so often, you have to keep in mind, we get shit for saying like hun and to some like customer and HR comes and wants our head. These motherfuckers have concentration camps and they literally put whiteface over fucking, over the freaking, over the actress, which by the way, this is much more nefarious than you actually might think, ladies and gentlemen. Luke, can you pull it up?
Where are you? Google is doing its best to hide it.
Google is trying to cover this. They're going to try to cover this. How should you say it? They're trying to cover this up because no sooner did this get released. And again, the guy was not a racist. The guy who made it was not a racist. He just showed as an example what you could do with artificial intelligence and deep faking, essentially, which at that point, if you could deep fake people, you can get you could basically never let characters die. Like you could have what was it, Luke?
Perpetuity.
In perpetuity. There you go. You could have Mark Hamill reprise the role as Luke Skywalker from 1974, 1977, whenever it came out, right? You can have them basically play the same role, not because Mark Hamill's alive to play the role, but because they own the likeness of Luke Skywalker. You combine that with deep fake technology and the fact they have the rights to Star Wars, you're going to see Luke, Mark Hamill do post-mortem performances way off into the future. So it's very fucking scary in that regard. Then, of course, you also have the fact that you could, basically put let's say they wanted specifically Asian actors for a role. Let's say they wanted to do, Game of Thrones, all Asian actors. They could do that with deep faking.
I mean, they already did that with Mark Hamill and The Mandalorian, so they couldn't. It's very easy now.
Yeah, exactly. But again, with the power of deep faking, they could make an entire cast Asian. They could make an entire cast white. They could make an entire cast, African. And this is actually very interesting for not just because of it's not just because of racial or because of preferential relations, but let's say you want to adopt Friends, let's say in Bollywood, or a Bollywood show, but you want to adapt it for the West. You could very well do that, and people might buy it. Okay, I'm not saying that there's a market, but there always is. I mean, look at that. The fact that they were able to do that with a freaking with just deep fake technology, fucking scary shit.
So this is just a random Chinese guy. It wasn't like a government stuff.
Yeah, this was not a Chinese spy. This was what someone could do with technology. It's not racist, but apparently the Chinese are planning on making a white-faced Ariel. They're planning on doing that. And honestly, there are people out there who want that market. And I think that because that market exists, and if Disney would just give the people what they want, which is in this case kind of an evil thing to do, because if they'll be pandering to the market of the SJW, but the problem is it won't be enough. It'll be like, oh, you don't have enough of, let's say, my version of the Little Mermaid or my people's. It can be very dangerous in this regard, but it gets even worse. Let's see. So Vinny says,
how can it get worse?
Well, it can get worse, and I just want to read some of the chat. Bandit Radek says that's wild. We could do both. We could both do that. See, yeah, we could, and it's very super easy. Yes, it is. It's very easy to do deep fakes. But one of the things that gets really scary is you could do deep fakes, and you could basically superimpose Mark Hamill and the likeness of Carrie Fisher, as well as the likeness of even what was his name, Marlon Brando. Like if you look at Superman Returns, Luke. They had like a post-mortem performance for Marlon Brando, even though he died. You combine that with AI script writing, and again, links in the description for those who want to follow along. You go, Luke, the AI script writing. You combine the fact that they have AI like scripters, combined with basically creating, let's say, the likeness of Mark Hamill in a new story. You could have an entire series of Star Wars be playing in the background, and it's all written and directed and filmed with fucking AI. Like legitimately, it's freaking weird.
Which one, the Stargate or which one?
Stargate cast members. I bring this up because this has already been done. Now this came out like a way back. You could play it, Luke. I just want you to understand what actually this is.
Magazine The Companion and Stargate's television co-creator Brad Wright are set to reunite several Stargate cast members for a unique table read early next month. But the new Stargate script is not set to come from Wright. Instead, it's coming from a Google-powered piece of artificial intelligence. This table read is uniquely exciting, as it will feature cast members from Stargate's past returning to their roles for the first time in more than a decade. Meanwhile, the AI has been fed...
A decade later. Whew.
Yeah, and I introduced you to Stargate recently, right, Luke?
Well, you reminded me of it, yeah, but still, 10 years later, and they're playing an AI script. This is
and here's the thing: the variables are very interesting because all this like Stargate took place all throughout, from I'd say the late 90s to like early 2000s, probably up to like 2008, 2010, right? That's how long of a series that AI has of variables to draw from.
There's something very morbid about this.
It is. This is like the death of, I would say, it is the death of current Hollywood. New Hollywood, new ideas, new characters, what have you. That's going to be the everything, basically everything up to this point. You could very well say if it could put into AI, if you have the rights to it, you could basically make anything you want.
I mean, I would go as far. I mean, I made this comment to you before that in the same way that video killed the radio star, the internet killed the movie star. But I would argue that critique culture destroyed Hollywood because they've become more entertained. Their reaction to Hollywood is more entertaining than Hollywood itself.
I mean, I kind of feel like this is going to become like the Gary's Mod. Like Hollywood will become Gary's Mod. You know what Gary's Mod is, Luke?
What was that one again?
A Gary's Mod basically is you take a bunch of source film assets from like Half-Life and things such as that, and you could basically use the ragdolls and do different things and make mods. I think that's kind of what Hollywood is becoming, because with the power of AI and the power of, let's say, a large pool of assets that, again, the Universal, MGM, and all them, they have rights to those things. They have rights to the likeness of Colonel Jack O'Neill. They have rights to the likeness of Daniel Jackson in some cases, at least in the case of who played the actor. So you and I will say, oh, well, that's not actually Jack O'Neill. That's not actually Daniel Jackson. That actually is just Michael Shanks and, let's say, Richard D. Anderson's portrayal of the characters. That could very well be a thing in the near future, where you have actual like skins and shit like that, like in like Counter-Strike, shit like that, you know? Oh, you could probably do that. You could probably, like with AI, put skins on the guns afterwards, even though, I don't know. Just play the video. I'm rambling.
And the whole history.
Meanwhile, Tim Pool and his crew are worried about the woke. We're talking about the implications of the AI, and they're talking about the woke left targeting children with subliminal messages.
Oh, Jesus Christ. We're going to look at that in a second. That's something that I wanted to get into, but I forgot. But let's just look at this, and then we'll look at the subliminal messages.
Of Stargate scripts, and will generate its own original story, at least we hope, full of offbeat character dialogue and off-world adventures as it attempts to capture the tone and spirit of the franchise. The special event has not only been announced, but has also been given an air date.
Please tell me they're going to at least have CGI characters, because I don't know if they can still do the same roles, probably the same roles as they were 10 years later.
I don't know.
I mean, you know how your opinion of Cobra Kai and the actors playing their roles.
Yeah, but even then, like, that's sort of what's interesting, is because you could age these people backwards. You could have the characters, or even, let's just say, another actor just playing the part, right? Literally being the body on the screen, and then get superimposed, similar to like what they did to Hayden Christensen with the hell is it, Darth Vader, right?
Or Superman and his mustache that he refused to shave off.
Yeah, exactly. You get it.
No, it's going to be pretty expensive content. Although I wonder how much are they charging for these AI scripts?
I don't know. And that's the scary thing, is because technically the AI script is probably like the software that's there is probably being licensed to them, which is very scary. If they license that software out, which they fucking will, you could very well have a super, super powerful fucking AI that basically tells the same story over and over and over again.
I look forward to the day when I'm critiquing one algorithm to another.
That we could very well, like, yeah, MGM's AI used to be great in the 1970s. Now it's fucking shit.
Oh, this is going to be, I know this is bleak, but this is going to be fantastic. The future is amazing.
The future is now. We are in cyberpunk, or actually we're in Shadowrun, because we technically have medieval. We have the traditionalists, and we'll get to them in a second. Keep playing.
And it's so boring in many ways too. I was expecting some dynamics and action.
Yep.
The Stargate AI script table read will premiere online on Saturday, November 6, 2021. Stargate SG-1 and Atlantis co-star Amanda Tapping announced her.
Wait, did it premiere already, or?
No, this was gonna premiere, but I just wanted to give it a synopsis of what actually is going on. The type of how should you say that, the type of, in their own words, a primary source, if you will.
Her participation in a video posted by the Companion's official Twitter account at the end of September. She played Colonel Samantha Carter on the franchise. Jewel State also confirmed she'll make an appearance in this special reunion, returning to her Stargate Atlantis character, Dr. Jennifer Keller. In addition to Amanda Tapping and Jewel State, Michael Shanks is also slated to join the table read as the affable Dr. Daniel Jackson, with David Hewlett also making an appearance as the fast-talking fan favorite Dr. Rodney McKay. The Companion confirms to Gateworld that the script reading will be pre-recorded, but the premiere will include fan engagement and perhaps a bit of Q&A. Described as one part magazine, one part making of companion book, and one part DVD extras, The Companion is a digital magazine created by The Narrative, a London-based studio that specializes in digital content in the world of science fiction. The site publishes original video and editorial content for its subscribers through a dedicated app and online at www.thecompanion.app. Brad Wright, who co-created Stargate SG-1, Stargate Atlantis, and Stargate Universe, is a contributor to The Companion. The November 6 AI script premiere will be limited to the Companion subscribers, but there is a free preview available to check out everything that comes with the paid membership. Recently, Brad Wright sat down with Lawrence Moroney, lead artificial intelligence advocate at Google, as well as Stargate.
This is what we're dealing with right here, ladies and gentlemen. This is exactly what we're dealing with right here.
And what is this?
Well, these are the type of people. These, we got boomers and we got ourselves Mac users, and we have ourselves somebody who's a maker.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
Oh, so you just know it's gonna be fun.
No. Give him a chance. Give him a chance, Luke. That's only fair.
All right. That's only fair.
Yep.
Atlantis co-star and tech geek David Hewlett to introduce the AI software and announce the table read. You can find a link to that video in the description below. Spaces for the AI written Stargate.
As the MIB would always say, nothing is what it seems.
Stargate script are limited, so check out the companion to learn more. In the meantime, what do you think of this unexpected?
Oh, okay. So, it did premiere, or what is this?
It did premiere already. It's supposed to premiere. It's supposed to be November 6th, right at the time of the election. I don't know.
I'm more concerned about other things than that.
It really is scary because you have this, and then you have, let's say, like, think of it like this. Disney puts it out there so they want to cater to different markets. You have something like this combined with, let's say, certain cultural norms, and then you want to be able to deep fake someone's face onto them. You can now make infinite variants of the same movie, but have it for different audiences based on cultural values, cultural sensitivity, and shit like that. It is really scary crap, man. It really is kind of out there.
I don't find it scary so much as I find it interesting because I'm not sure how this is going to work.
Basically, the AI will draw they'll have different. I don't know. It would be interesting, but they'd have to have a way to check it after a while. Like they could draw like random. I don't know. I don't really fully understand AI, but I'm gonna have to learn it because I'm a tech guy. So at this point, I'd have to know it, right? Because I'm just that guy who has to know that shit. But what was this about? Whole not now, Vinny. I can't call in, man. I can't do that right tonight. Maybe some other time.
Since we're in the sense of writing, let's get on to this clip from Family Guy.
Okay, how about this? A single white girl in the city working at a magazine. Yeah,
that's at least
Yeah.
You guys hear yourselves? This is the same old crap over and over again. We need to take a chance. Try something different. Something fresh.
And then the executive producer kills the idea.
Yep.
No more of that with AIs in charge now.
Nah.
But anyway, what's this other clip here? The reunion, the table read. Huh.
The table read, that's going to happen. Here you go. You can play that.
Okay, what is this? What does it play here, or where does it play?
It's basically the same thing, Luke. But again, it's just the same thing, but from Gate World.
What if you got like a world-class AI to write scenes? Almost like a reunion / read-through / AI experiment. Wouldn't that be fun?
Will it?
Yeah, just keep listening. Just keep listening.
Oh, written Google's artificial intelligence. That's comforting.
They wrote it.
Well, I guess I'm Daniel Jackson. If you've never heard of me, you should probably study.
I recommend we disengage the Stargate and analyze this data before proceeding.
No, I'm not going to deliver the rest of the galaxy.
Carter looks at the terminal, a white flash of light.
It's good to see you too, Thor.
Yeah, sure. I really had nothing to do with that. Ah, come on!
You owe me a beer.
Okay, if this works, I'll buy you a keg.
Can't do it.
It's all in fun. I see.
Yeah.
It's always so much fun.
Yeah, honestly, this could be very dangerous. It could be a selling gimmick, even. I would like it, but at the same time, I'm kind of nervous about it, you know? But what was this thing that Tim Pool, you said regarding cults and stuff like that?
Well, they're more worried about woke left targeting children. Crew discusses Disney subliminal messages. I hope this isn't just a repeat of hashed ideas.
Oh, please. What is it?
Yeah.
About Disney, right?
The Lion
Oh,
King.
yeah,
The
of course.
Lion King, he lays down, it says sex, and then I think the official explanation was, no, it says SFX. Is that what it was? Something like that. Then there's the cover of The Little Mermaid. Then there's Aladdin saying, what did he say? What does he say? Something about taking off your clothes.
Oh,
There's a bunch of wieners everywhere. Let's just be real with each other. That's what
What
it
the
is.
fuck
you know?
is this?
We know that. We know this stuff already. Is there anything meaningful in this?
Is there anything meaningful? I mean, that's like Snopes 2004. Not even 2000. Fuck, that was like Snopes 2001, 2002.
Yes, there's some subliminal messages. There were some shenanigans in the final executive production images. We get it, but is there anything relevant?
We used to wake up on Saturday morning, watch the cartoons, and the cartoons weren't so bad. We want to bring that kind of thing back, and we want to create a place where neighbors can meet each other and hang out.
Propaganda does work, and that's why they put these little messages in there. There's a reason advertisers spend hundreds of billions of dollars trying to get their messaging out there. And truly, what happens with children, especially when it comes to Disney and all these other mega corporations, and the images and the messages, and when you're seeing messages like that and memes like that, it resonates with people because, like, yeah, I never had savings. Oh, yes, I don't have a house. Yes, I don't have a real job. I have this gig economy created by Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum that literally just screwing me over and not giving me any kind of benefits or anything that could actually sustain me as a human being. So memes, I think, are super important.
Luke came to me before the show, and he was talking about he was unhappy, and I said, "Have you considered owning nothing?"
Yeah.
Things are looking up on the simplistic hippie Ian level. That can work.
Actually, yeah.
With
Disney's The Rescuers. It has a frame with a woman in the window, full frontal, Snopes. Blah, blah, blah. I just think about where we've gotten to, with everything Luke said. I'm hearing, all this economic stuff, and then I'm thinking about what you said and imagining just like all ages drag shows, and I'm just like, Rome is burning, man.
100%.
So
no,
I kind of feel like,
no, it's not. Take that shit somewhere else. Take that fucking garbage somewhere else. Rome is not burning. We didn't start the fire. It was always burning since the world was turning. Okay, that's the truth of the matter. The world is always on a constant state of collapse. Somewhere in the world, everything's falling apart and it's being rebuilt at the same time. And maybe that's just me, but let's just say that there's certain perennial wisdom in that regard. And according to Sargon, those pathetic modernists are the blame for all the crap that's going on.
Yes. So the modernists. So what is a modernist?
You're going to start running his mouth about modernism basically being a fucking insult.
So I remember the thumbnail for this is like John Oliver with the text. It's no longer the current year.
No, it's not. It's no longer the current year. It's something else.
The pathetic moderns and their spiritual emptiness. And I find this just remarkable because what have they got to say that even intersects with what we've been talking about? Like, in what way can Owen Jones? I mean, even Owen Jones has to use the word magic. He's a man who is a pure materialist, completely fixated on the sort of French Revolution rights of man. And in any other time or place, he's got nothing to say about any of this. What are they going to say? What are they going to say that even vaguely interacts with the concepts that are at play and are clearly animating the country at the moment? Absolutely nothing, right?
It's going against everything he's been talking about for a long time.
What's animating the country? What is he literally suggesting that magic's animating the country? Fuck. I think Harry Potter really was a mistake for British people.
I mean, magic in general is always a mistake because it's a misdirection of reality.
It really is, and I guess this is Sargon selling out. I guess he's drank the Kool-Aid, so now he's ready to go meet his maker like Socrates. He kind of is like Socrates.
And it was really annoying with the death of the Queen. You do notice that he's like on the verge of understanding what Christianity is. He's on the verge of even if he doesn't believe in Christianity as a fact, he'll believe in it as a very practical tool that has led the human race going. But where's the leap in that? How come there's no leap in that jump?
All right. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think that he's going to realize that the perennial doctrine and all the fucking academic agent shit and traditionalism school and all this, Renegade Kali Yuga shit, that he's going to find out that's bullshit and it really is the fucking Antichrist religion. And at the very end, he's going to confess. I really do think that he will come to Christ right after he realizes that the whole traditionalist shit needs to die. And needs to die quickly and fast. Play it.
Better sooner than later. But here we go.
Yep. It's a good point, actually. This kind of magical thinking is completely normal outside of the West. The national mourning in ancient China the last few years, people, the moderns have no idea. And he's exactly right. We just assume everyone is an Enlightenment rationalist. And the thing is, there are good reasons to look at that and go, hang on a second, maybe this kind of magical thinking, maybe there is something about it that is actually worth keeping. And the reason I say this is because I've been doing this repeated series called Our Cyberpunk Dystopia. I did part 3 the other day. And it's just the horrific world we move into when we think that human beings are just measurable bags of meat. It's a genuinely terrifying future where we'll just give you
I think Sargon's discovered the warp. He's discovered the warp, and now the God Emperor soon will reveal himself. Like think about it. He's basically going down the mysticism rabbit hole. Oh, we have to. He calls it magic. Oh, there's something like a zeitgeist, or there's some sort of spirit of the age, guiding us. Oh, the higher power. Oh, he's gonna get into woo really fucking soon.
We'll just read all of your biometric data and then have you in a database, and millions of people will just be numbers in a spreadsheet. What a terrible way of looking at the world. But that seems to be the alternative. We can have a country of magic and tradition, or we can have the cyberpunk dystopia. You choose. And
they don't want this edition because it's.
Can't we just have a Christian society with no magic?
Like honestly,
and rather than magic,
they really want this to be Shadowrun.
Like, can we please not have magic and have just the miracle of Christ? That's it.
Yeah, can't we have that? That's like what they're really suggesting is that it's Shadowrun. Now, I don't know if you know what Shadowrun is.
What's that?
Shadowrun is a science fantasy table role playing game set in the alternate future where cyberpunk, cybernetics, magic, and fantasy creatures coexist. It combines genres of cyberpunk, urban fantasy, and crime. Think of that movie, that Will Smith movie, Bright, whatever it's called, the one that was on Netflix.
Right, yeah.
Imagine that, but like with cyberpunk. So instead of having those orc gangbangers, like the orcish Crips, you can pull up the picture of the orc Crips.
I know.
pull up a picture of the orc Crips.
Later, just as soon as I get it.
You can pull that up and just imagine these. Okay, just imagine. You're gonna love this, chat. You're gonna fucking love this. Trust me.
Oh, wait, don't we know what they look like though? Where are you? Let's see, Crips.
There we go.
Crips.
Right there. Here we go. It's not blood Crips. Just here we go, Luke. I got you. Imagine these fuckers running around, except these ones have one of them has a freaking like cybernetic arm and like a freaking having what was it? I don't know if you could do this art real quick, Luke. If it has the glasses of Baked Alaska, those little 80s glasses. I don't know. Just play it.
Let's see.
It's hard to change people if they know their history because they belong to something. They belong to a family. They belong to a nation, which is just a bigger family. And if they can break that down.
I doubt that the orcs would ever adapt the gangster lifestyle.
Are you kidding me? Those motherfuckers are thugs, and you all know it.
But the gangster lifestyle is just superficiality and consumeristic nonsense.
Well, weren't orcs once considered elves that have fallen, right? So hashtag Drow Lives Matter. I'm just saying,
The left's really good at breaking down families and breaking down, the monarchy. And it's because once you belong to nothing, we want to belong, so then they can offer the solution of then you wanting to belong to something because we've got rid of what you used to belong to.
Well, they can create the new man, beginning at year zero, the atomized individual who's
year zero,
outside of space and time, who's self-generative. He's not created. He's not part of a culture or a country or a tradition over time. There's no future for him. He's always in the now.
You don't have a history because it starts now.
Exactly, and you don't have a future because tomorrow is day one as well. Yeah, and exactly, and so this I think is just exemplified by a bunch of woke leftists on Twitter, like this Martin Durkin guy, who's just like, "What are we doing? This is the 21st century. What the hell are we doing?" And it's like, sorry, Martin, we're doing something important.
What are you doing?
Have you not seen
That's the real question. What are you doing? Like, from what I could see, it looks like a fucking it was a funeral procession, right? It's a funeral procession of the Queen, right?
Yep.
That's a national tradition, right? But the real question here is what exactly are good night, Redex. The real question that should be asked here is who's we? Who the fuck are you talking about? Like that's the real question, because the relationship of the king and the royalty of Britain has changed over the years. You had before the Magna Carta, after the Magna Carta, and you have of modern times. I don't know enough about it, but I do know that there's a special relationship nowadays to royalty as opposed to prior, back before modernity, so to speak. And we have to be very careful about this type of thinking, these crazy elvish fuckers running around trying to basically destroy our and poison our world. Because apparently, if we don't, we might have to go take out Charlie. We might have to take out Charlie. And there's a reason why we have to take out Charlie. Here you go.
What's this?
Charles. This is what we have to watch out for.
In these uprooted times, there is a great need for constancy, a need for those who can rise above the clamour the din and the sheer pace of our lives to help us to rediscover those truths that are immutable and eternal. A need for those who can speak of that eternal wisdom which is called the perennial philosophy. Looking at the program for this conference being organized by...
I hate when we always go into these like broad generalizations of we need to keep the abstract going. Well, why not just give it a name? It's called Jesus. That's what it is.
Get the fuck out of here, you globalist fucker. Get the hell out of here. Because at the end of the day...
The Jungian attempted to generalize all the mythology into the one hero's journey. No, we have the hero's journey. It's called Jesus Christ. That is the hero's journey.
Yeah, all you guys are just Jungian fanboys, and you just like Carl Jung because you like Persona. That's what that is. Okay?
And also, it's a good way to insert what they want to be the hero's journey, which is
yep. It really is like it's the traditionalist version of the AI, where you basically have to make up a broad generalization of certain heroic traits that you like, and then you sell it to everybody. So you have Willow, you have Luke Skywalker, you have Frodo, you have all these different people, and then you try to link them together with certain attributes. It's bullshit. It's AI for drug addicts. There you go.
Sacred Web on the theme of tradition in the modern world and the list of speakers. I know that you will be hearing just this kind of teaching from just these kinds of people. Within the overall theme, there would seem to be a marvelous diversity of matters being discussed. Matters related to religion, the arts, the economy, the environment, and much else. Although, very sadly, I cannot be with you, I do just want to say that I'm always delighted to receive the latest issue of Sacred Web, because so often I come across such deeply revealing and enlightening articles, rich in content and diverse in subject matter. In addition, through the work of the Temenos Academy, of which I am patron, I have been fortunate to enjoy the writings of some of your colleagues, people such as Professor Syed Hossein Nazar, and of course the late Dr. Martin Lings, whose presence amongst us is so profoundly missed.
Who is Nazar?
Nazar. Should I know that person?
He was, I think, the guy who was running Egypt at the time. Yeah. He's also the guy who was working with Francis Parker Yockey at the time. So I'm going to look deeper into this Charles connection between Francis Parker Yockey and Nazar. I want to know how much they influenced each other, because technically Yockey was a perennialist as well, and he also pushed this idea of we need to go back to having a strong man. We need to go back to having a king. We need to go back to the divine monarchy. So much so that Yockey actually advocated for being similar to the Soviet model. He liked the idea of the Soviet model of economics, believe it or not, simply put, because it was closer to feudalism. So we have to be very careful with this stuff, because apparently there's a rumor around on the campfire now that Charlie over here is part of the World Economic Forum. He's working with them. So now we have people who basically are communists, who want to basically dress themselves in the garbs of tradition and say that, no, I am the priest. I'm not the Supreme Soviet. I am the Brahmin. What are you talking about? I'm the only one who can see the great ideals of this nation. You should follow me. And they follow you into oblivion. Keep playing, Luke.
The Temenos Academy has been and remains closely associated with many of those who have written and continue to write for Sacred Web, and indeed for Sophia and other related journals. From the beginning, with the launch of the original Temenos Review, the Temenos Academy has not only been devoted to what its founders have referred to as the arts of the imagination, but has also been committed both to the perennial philosophy and to the notion that man is, at root, a spiritual creature with spiritual and intellectual needs, which have to be nourished if we are to...
What are you talking about? We're frogs. We're like Pepe. We exist both in spirit, but also in flesh. We are part spirit, part flesh. That is the way it is. Okay. Don't let these people say that man is only spirit. That's bullshit. And don't let people tell you that man is only flesh. That's also bullshit. We are amphibians. Get fucking right, Charles.
Fulfill our potential. Both of these matters are at the heart of the teachings of Sacred Web. Temenos Academy and Sacred Web are also, of course, dedicated to an exploration of the role of tradition in the modern world, the subject of this conference, and indeed to a critique
What are you
of the
fucking
false
giving
premises.
He's giving speeches. The guy's a fucking perennialist. He needs to go. He needs to go.
When was this posted? Oh, 2016.
This was posted back in 2016. This guy's fucking scary. This is some scary shit. I feel bad for you British people, you Brit bongs. This is why we fucking defected. This is why America was built. Because
he's the king.
He's the king.
Mm-hmm.
He's the king
of modernity. A critique set out in one of the seminal texts of the traditionalists, René Guénon's The Reign of Quantity. Now, many find this teaching difficult, not least because it asks us to question our very mode of being, and perhaps because it asks us to question an ideology in the form of modernism that has become so set in our minds that any other way of being seems in some sense fanciful and unrealistic. However, the teachings of the traditionalists should not, in any sense, be taken to mean that they seek, as it were, to repeat the past, or indeed simply to draw a distinction between the present and the past. Theirs is not a nostalgia for the past, but a yearning for the sacred, and if they defend the past, it is because in the pre-modern world, all civilizations were marked by the presence of the sacred.
Yeah, they were all communists, right? They were all communists. They were all communists. They were all in a state of nature which was very communistic. And then those fucking modernists, Atlanticists, capitalists fucking came in and ruined everything, you know? Those dirty fucking modernists, which we need to clip that, Luke, from fucking Sargon. Anyhow, I think you guys get the point of why I don't exactly like Charlie. And his name is Charlie from now on because he reminds me of Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. I'm gonna come out of the dark ether with fucking Willy Wonka or something like that, and I'm gonna take him to the Chocolate Factory.
Here's the narrative.
Not Epstein Island.
Here's the narrative of all human history.
A time of peace, when the Avatar kept balance between the Water Tribes, Earth Kingdom, Fire Nation, and Air Nomads. But that all changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
God damn it, Luke. God damn it.
There's just so much content to reference.
Oh, you know, the thing about the easiest way to fuck with the traditionalists is basically subvert the expectations. Legitimately, some of the best traditions out there and some of the best, part of that tradition is basically subverting the expectations. So whether it be, tales of rogues and crazy paladins like fucking Don Quixote and shit like that, do that shit. Write that shit out. And that will basically beat these people because these people are fucking evil and they need to be beaten because they're elitists and in every sense of the word. Anyhow, Luke, can we go back to what Sargon was saying in this regard?
The building's ancient. Look at all those people there, and they all know why they're there. And you're the only one on the outside going, "Oh, I don't understand this at all." It's like, sorry, man. We're actually what we're doing is making sure that people in the future won't be embarrassed of us. I know that's hard to believe, but in the same way that I covered, you can go back to King George or William Gladstone. This is the same thing. We're making sure that we did our part.
And tradition is about passing on the lessons.
Really, is it really? Is it just this is just what you do when the Queen dies?
But as time progresses, I am understanding the ambivalence of the American Revolution with certain people because some of the founding fathers were so adamant to never break away from Britain until it became inevitable. It was like, yeah, we can't break away from the homeland. That's the homeland.
I don't know. I don't know.
But history played itself out, and going back home is never happened. There's no going back home.
There is no going back home. I like to think of 2020 and 2022 to be like the epoch of a change in world events, not just in my life, but I look at anything past 2020 as basically a life that is my backstory at this point, and everything else is the future of today, and it's definitely a different life. So I'm on let's say New Game Plus at this point. So you get on my level, scrubs. Keep going.
Innovations learned the hard way. Yeah. That's what tradition's about, so you don't make the same mistakes. We may not understand, or he definitely doesn't understand why those people are in that hall, but there's a reason. He just doesn't know the reason.
Yeah. And that's very much Edmund Burke's view of tradition. Is that look, actually, a lot of good things are built up in the tradition.
You're a sexist. You just don't know you're a sexist. There's something. Someone's fucking in that hotel. You can't prove that they're fucking, but they're technically fucking, aren't they? I don't know. Keep going.
why these things work, and often because they're the work of so many minds, over so many hands, over so many generations, you couldn't plan it out, you couldn't even explain it. But the thing has a life of its own and provides benefits of its own, and it's irresponsible not to pass that down.
And the poor traditions, or the things that added no value to society, are discarded over time.
That's exactly right. They don't become traditions. They don't have any power, and that's the point, isn't it? Because this is what keeps everything together. This is a genuine sort of spiritual locus of this country. And so Martin here being, well, I don't understand this. I was born yesterday. I've got no knowledge of the past.
You don't know what the fuck he's thinking. Shut the fuck up. You don't know anything what he's talking about. Again, he has to play psychic. The motherfucker, because he's gone to magic, in the world of magic, in the world of mysticism, now he gets to fucking play psychic with the guy who he disagrees with, which again is bullshit. It's the same tactic the feminists use when they say you suffer from internalized misogyny, or when Peterson says you're ideologically possessed. This is the same thing. You have to fight back against it and call it out when you see it. Thoughts, Luke?
Not really. Because it's just, I mean, I get the warning you're trying to have here, but and it is annoying that the elements of the quote unquote writer are starting to attach into the traditionalist mindset, and so it could be just another long hill battle for people to realize, wait a minute, this traditionalism is nonsense.
Yeah, and again, that's why we're staking our claim. And so far, I've been very, very on the money regarding a lot of this crap that's going on in the world, whether it be calling out Jack Murphy as a piece of shit because he was hanging out with Dugan, and then, oh my God, he's taking it up the ass. And then of course, I'll just say this as somebody who's a little bit older now, I trust my gut a hell of a lot more, and I'm making a very, very good progress. Keep going.
Anyway, so the New York Times had a nice take on this, which is amazing. King Charles is out of touch with the regular people. It's like he's king.
He is.
Like, I wouldn't expect him to know what the I mean, they really do us down here. So, the public's using food banks. So, well, a small portion of the public is using food banks. Most people.
Well, he's a king. I mean, would you expect anything else?
Yep.
Are not using food banks, just so you know. Again, the British public is reliant on food banks. Thanks, New York Times, for making us sound like we're an impoverished third world hole. But of course, King Charles is not, again, but look at the view. Well, your king doesn't know what it is to use a food bank. It's like, that would be embarrassing, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be humiliating if your king had to go to a food bank?
He's trained all his life for this role.
Yeah. And everyone's been joking about how he's been waiting decades because Elizabeth lived to 96. But again, like, the perspective is very much like the French Revolution perspective. Well, why aren't we all equal? It's like, because we aren't equal. No one's equal anywhere, ever.
No.
And that's okay.
On many different levels.
Exactly. In every
under the law, you are
not equal to a 6 foot.
You do this if you commit the same crime. So, for example, if Luke gangland execution styles kill someone, right? And I gangland execution style and kill someone, we should be charged the same thing. We should be charged for the same crime, same thing. That's equality under the law. I am pro that. But the problem with the traditionalists is they want to control the definitions of terms. So yeah, generally speaking, not every people are equal. So what? And therefore, that's what you have to ask the question. That's what you have to say. Okay, we're not equal, and therefore, there are differences between race and IQ, and therefore, like you have to back that up with something. And then traditionalist doesn't do that. He just asserts it, and it's really, really sad. Let's just say.
I mean, the IQ stuff is reactionary, but that's I don't want to dwell too much on that one.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it is just science says I'm sexy. Survey says I'm sexy. That's what that is. That's what that is, and they want the world to know about it. So that's sort of what they. I'm not going to get too deep. That's a totally different topic. Let's skip ahead a bit in the video.
How far?
Monday, which is
now. Let's go.
I think we will, but obviously.
Do you know what? My country's amazing. Look at what we do.
Exactly.
The world's tuned in for this. The whole world is watching this.
Yeah. That is honestly nail on the head there. If it was for anything else, like if you go to the next one, the Guardian was completely pro-lockdown. And they were like, yeah, the lockdowns are bad for you, but not to do it would have been worse. We don't care about the economy. We don't care about your mental health. No. Lock you down because that'll be good against capitalism. But as soon as, like you say, it would be a benefit to the traditional structures of this country. They're like, oh no, we've got to go to work. Get those workers out to work. Can't have a day off. Recession's coming, don't you know?
It's a paid bank holiday. The left should be celebrating another free day for workers to relax at home.
No, you've got to go work for your capitalist masters, says the Guardian. It's honestly just transparently disgusting, and I can't stand it. Anyway, so moving on, we get a lot of losers posting their L's online. Roughly every 6 days in the world, a country celebrates its independence from Britain. I think we're meant to be ashamed of that.
No, I think the what's the word I'm looking for? The dismantling of the British Empire was the safest, less death, most mutual beneficial dismantling of an empire ever. And it was so successful, many of those countries then said, can't we start something voluntarily? Let's call it the Commonwealth and let's all still be friends and do things together. That's how evil our empire was.
Yeah, and that is, honestly, that is exactly the right way to put it. Like, you do not have a mutually beneficial Commonwealth of nations that are on friendly terms for decades after the end of the empire if the product of the empire was just purely negative.
Where's the French Commonwealth?
Well, that's a great question.
Where's the Portuguese and Spanish Commonwealth in South America?
Do the Haitians really want to have a Commonwealth with France?
Yeah.
For anyone who knows anything about the Haitian Revolution, well, it wasn't pretty.
No.
Yeah, exactly. And Britain voluntarily decolonized. And so this is not only not a point of shame, in my opinion, this is a win. Yeah, you're welcome.
I don't know. I think it's a bit
then
of
you get the absolute clowns.
It just is. It just is, Luke. Honestly, colonialism had its benefits. I mean, the same, like everything that they say about colonialism that is bad happened to the British. Keep in mind, the Romans conquered the British, and they built all those roads that helped. They benefit from it. They were, having those roads is why Northerners are seen as shitheads, and Southerners are seen as sophisticated, pompous British types.
As Jared Taylor always points out in one of his personal experiences, the areas of Africa that are most advanced are the ones that are colonized the longest.
Yep, and again, it's infrastructure. A lot of it's infrastructure, and it's much harder to maintain. It's much harder to lay down infrastructure, especially in such a vast wilderness like Africa, than it is to, let's say, maintain it that's already there. The Romans, there are parts of there are roads still in Europe where were made by the Romans and that you could still drive on, and they still work. So don't diss infrastructure, man. Don't diss infrastructure. You may be colonized, but you got infrastructure. That's a good thing.
People like this, like anti-monarchist, arrested after shouting, "Who elected him?" It's like, mate, you're a Monty Python character. You're actually a character in a Monty Python skit.
He is, but again, he shouldn't be arrested
British,
for that.
That's still British humor, though. That still is British humor. Again, it's still part of the tradition. I hate to be the guy who says this. Kind of is.
Who voted for you? You don't vote for kings.
Well, he just gets to be the jester. That's the framework. So we don't actually have to take him seriously until we actually want to. It's just very elitist type of, we know what you are, so you're the jester. And if any idea comes from it, it's because it still proves my plan is working. It's so snobby. I hate these fucking people. Fucking A.
We always have fools, and there's fools in every society, in every community. And if he wants to be a fool and shout that, then he takes that risk himself with the crowd. But he shouldn't be arrested because, again, our police, overstep the mark all the time now.
Well, yeah, I was gonna get into that. So yeah, this guy, an actual clown from a Monty Python skit, and also people elected Hitler, so calm down about being elections are so great.
They elected Trump.
They elected Trump. Yeah, and it looks like in Italy and Sweden they're going to be electing more right wingers. So calm down about those elections, buddy. King Charles is a deep environmentalist, is he not? Gives lots of money, does lots of charitable things. Blah blah blah. Calm down there. But anyway, the rest of the things they say on Twitter either. So you made the bed. Get effed in it. Incidentally, there was a really funny event that happened in Mecca over this. A Yemeni man published a video clip of himself on social media at the Grand Mosque in Mecca, where non-Muslims are forbidden, holding up a banner saying, "Umrah for the soul of Queen Elizabeth II. We ask God to accept her in heaven among the righteous." He got arrested for that.
Is this the same story, or is this a different one where the man at Mecca was arrested for saying he's done his pilgrimage in honour of the Queen?
No, I'm not familiar with that one. In this particular one, he specifically had a banner and he videoed himself doing it. So
boring.
But I mean,
well, we don't hold the Saudis to any sort of standard, do we?
But that's the thing.
I don't know. I just keep an eye on Sargon. Just keep an eye on him. I think he's going to have his traditionalist arc where he basically is on the wrong side of history, and I say wrong side of history in the sense that it's not progressive, it's traditional. So you get all the bad, but with all the justification of the good. So they have monarchy and all this other degenerate shit, and traditionalism, and which is the old globalism. So you have to be very careful of that. But besides that, and besides the perennial philosophy, let's just say our favorite wizard and our favorite barbarian got the talk, and yeah.
Wait, so who's the wizard and who's the barbarian?
Well, I'll let you decide.
Oh, yeah. Which one is it?
No, maybe he's a sort. Okay, one of them is. Which one do you think looks like a Conan ripoff? Or rather, he looks like he'd be.
There's no comparison at that point.
He's from the WWE. Okay, he can very well be on the WWE, and I think he should. I think it would be a very good. Make it a fucking. To contact Hey Spaghetti, we have an idea for a show, like actual traditionalist fucking wrestling. There we go. That'd be awesome. No, but I wanted to cover this crap because I've covered this before, and these two guys I've kind of suspected of shit. So it's sort of very interesting to read the sort of interview, like see how the topic goes and what they bring up and what they name drop and shit like that. I thought that'd be very interesting. So Luke, we're gonna go through this sucker. Yeah, you can know who's the barbarian now.
Cult quite a few times in many of the books, and one of the reoccurring topics then is Satanism, and I thought to ask Styx here what Satanism is. So yeah, without further ado, Styx, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me on.
So to get straight into it, so for me personally, as I said, I have only over the last year I've gotten a bit more acquainted with the concept of Satanism. But if I were to ask you, or if someone without any previous knowledge whatsoever asked what is Satanism, how would you introduce it?
I would say that, the form of Satanism that I was involved with, and this is, a decade ago at this point, it's vanishing into the past. The form of Satanism I was in was independent, number one. I never joined any specific satanic order or anything cringy like that. And it was fundamentally atheistic. So with LaVey and other similar Satanists, what you're getting is basically godlessness with a floor show. What LaVey did is he sort of made a mock-up of Catholic rituals specifically and sort of inverted some of the meanings, appropriated the cross of St. Peter to an extent, and then did his various rituals. And to him, it was mostly a corporate scam. But it was basically a satire of the Christian religion and Catholicism, especially with his particular path. What I came to the conclusion of is that Satanism, at least in the atheistic sense, is really more of an initiatory step. So what I used it for basically was...
Bullshit. It's not. Like, it really isn't. It's just fucking narcissism, the religion. Narcissism, the religion, and it has objectivism elements. That's what it is. So, again... There's sometimes, I'm not talking about against self-preservation, not against that. It's, you can't have a society of these type of people. You have a society of those type of people, you don't have a society anymore. You have anarcho-Capistan. You have Deadwood. Keep playing, Luke.
I had left religion, I'd become atheistic. I still wanted ritualism and things like that. And it sort of dawned on me that it's sort of an initiatory framework in order to purge false guilt and fear through psychodrama and through mock-up rituals. And then once things are cleared out, then you can go on and study more authentic magic and things of that nature, which is...
Through LARPing. Like taking yourself seriously. And this is why I say the wizard and the fucking barbarian is because, let's be frank, they are fucking D&D characters. Like, we have NPCs, but we have D&D NPCs also. Well, actually, no, they're main player characters, and they just happen to have the class of barbarian and fucking wizard, right? Well, you want to tell them, Luke? You want to tell them about our fucking little our fencing get together?
If you want, you could give the details if you want.
All right, so I started taking fencing again with Luke. I started doing some fencing earlier today. And it was actually pretty fun. Very good cardio. I will say that. Very good. I'm going to have to get a bit more equipment and get things together. But I had a very good time. So they LARP it out and have fun. And they get to do what they want to do. But my only problem is I just wish they wouldn't get tax write-offs for doing it. Keep playing, Luke.
Is actually spurned by the Church of Satan. I got regarded, I remember one time contacting Peggy Nadramia, their PR spokeswoman, which is hilarious, and being called an occultnik for merely asking questions about the topic of magic at the time as a somewhat cringy dude, barely in his 20s, and I thought that was very funny.
Yeah. So you would say that, you said that you came from a religious background, is that correct?
Well, religious in the sense that we were Christians, but in the nominal liberal sense. So you go to church on Christmas and Easter, you read the Bible, you pray the Lord's Prayer at night, and that's kind of it. There was no larger religion. Later on in my teens, I became more religious for several years before I abandoned that.
So you were part of an antinomian Christian sect. You were basically part of people a group of Christians who did not they weren't hardcore enough to fucking keep you from running astray, essentially. Something tells me that his group of Christian liberal parents or whatever the hell his upbringing was, they probably would have become SJWs. They probably would have become that. That's what I would gather from it. Keep going.
And then later other things.
Right. Yeah, I suppose many guys have had their atheist stage. So essentially, you went from regular Christian that many people are grown up with, then atheism, and then you wanted to get back to a bit more spirituality, including rituals and stuff like that.
Yes, definitely. Although, again, it was liberal Christianity at first, and then for a few years it was, I wouldn't exactly say I was a fundamentalist per se, but it was definitely more religious. Like we were going to church on every Sunday, being more into religion as a family. This was sort of a family event for me. It was led mainly by my mom. She decided she wanted to go to church and stuff, and I sort of was brought along. But it was all right. It was fun, and I got picnics and stuff like that, so there's nothing wrong with a picnic.
All right, nice. Yeah, so for the context, you're grown up on the east coast of good old America, that is correct?
Yes, yeah, Vermont.
Yeah, cool. I'm grown up in Sweden, of course, perhaps a bit more atheist than the United States. But when I grew up, we had still, school ceremonies in church. So for Christmas and for summer and stuff like that, a few ceremonies regarding Easter as well. But I mainly remember the Christmas ceremonies. So they weren't overly Christian in their nature, but we still got a nice sense of it. So anyway, I wrote a review a while back.
The trappings of Christianity, which is probably the problem. If I were to say that the biggest problem that we have right now in modern times is we don't have enough spirituality within Christianity, in the sense that I actually want to get my guns blessed and shit like that. I would love to do that. I'd like to have like silver bullets and shit like that. That's what I'd like to do. That's my fucking tradition, right? We don't have enough of that in the world. Too many people don't take Christianity seriously enough, or they don't take the faith serious enough to actually think about what actually life is outside, and what is the world. Where are you in the world right now, right? I personally think that that we're in a culture war, and I believe that the culture war has been going on since probably the 1960s. I'd say. I don't know. Keep playing, Luke.
Path by Stephen E. Flowers, and in my review I gave a first impression of Satanism, and basically what I wrote was that, as I see it from a Swedish perspective, from a semi-atheist, as I grew up as, I'm not an atheist now, but from what I saw that perhaps many Americans that had grown up.
I mean, if he's a pagan, he's still technically an atheist.
Yeah, they all are atheists. In different tiers, they worship their race, and they want to go dance around naked in the fucking woods. Who doesn't, though?
And that's one of the biggest surprises I found about paganism, is that it's not a worship of God, it's a worship of your ancestors to the point of godhood. And it's like, so it's idolatry.
Yeah, so that, and also the fact that, if they're going to accuse the globalists of being, pagan, evil, pedophile, Satanist and shit like that, and this guy's going to basically be that, but on the national level or some shit like that, you have to understand that paganism can lead to humanism. It could lead you to become a humanist. It could lead you to be a globalist, because ultimately we all share from the same blood. We're all at one point sharing common ancestry, right? If you worship your ancestors, you worship humanity. That's really what it boils down to. Whether you want to make, you want this, my tribe was here in this part of Denmark, or my tribe was here. No, eventually it all boils back down to humanity. We're all brothers in that regard. So that's my biggest problem with a lot of this like ritualistic pagan crap, or race worship, I should say. Keep going, Luke.
With a very strict Christian upbringing, they sort of revolted against Christianity, and therefore Satanism had a certain allure because of the inversion of Christian, as you said, a mockery of a Catholic ritual that Anton LaVey did. Would you say that's a good analysis?
I would say that's definitely the case. If you're looking at the 1980s, especially with the rise of the moral majority, the satanic panic, there was definitely an influx into not just the Church of Satan, but
we got to talk about this for a second. He says the moral majority. Andrew Breitbart talked about how, what was it? The politics is downstream from culture, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, what is culture downstream from? Morality.
Oh, yeah.
Memes. The idea of, chastity, the idea of no sex before marriage being actually valued. So when he talks about moral majority, he's really talking about the cultural majority, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So, these guys basically want to have that. They're basically heroin addicts who've been caught in the streets and like, hey, leave me alone. I want to get away from you, moral majority. I want to do my own thing. That's what that is. They want to be left the fuck alone, and they don't want to be, but they want to interact with society enough, but they're going to bash people for having taste and being part of a actual culture. So these guys are dangerous in that regard. These are the guys who will spit on social norms. And thus, basically, they are spiritual leftists. That's how you have to look at them. Let's keep going, Luke. We'll get through this.
Other groups as well, and independent Satanism, and outright devil worship, which doesn't have anything to do with them, but it was part of it. I would say that there was definitely a rebellion aspect of it, sort of leaving behind the nifty 50s, sort of leave it to Beaver Americana mentality that was espoused effectively by the Reaganites and, of course, the Tipper Gores later on into the 90s. Yeah, I would say that. There's also another sort of resurgence that you have in the middle of the 2010s with the Satanic Temple and groups like that. And again, people misinterpret what they're doing, putting up like a Moloch statue or something like that, a Lucifer statue at a courthouse, effectively was just a form of protest. These are not theistic individuals. They don't believe in a literal devil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they get
so you say
tax
that
write-offs as if they did.
From Anton LaVey and onwards, you have more of a spectacle and not so much a deeper concern with the metaphysics of things.
Yeah, there's nothing metaphysical about LaVey and Satanism. I remember Boyd Rice used to go to concerts. He was one of the higher-ranking members of the Church of Satan. I think he's left them now or no longer particularly active. He used to go up on stage with a shirt that said rape and just say and do weird things all of the time, just be as edgy as possible, and I found it hilarious.
Right. Yeah, makes total sense. And I suppose that every society will eventually have a counterculture based upon the dominant culture, and I can definitely understand that. Yeah, maybe some people were fed up with the over-the-top Christianity and sort of revolted. Now, of course, for me personally,
throw that away. That's that order chaos bullshit that we got from the 1970s and Michael Moorcock. Throw it in the garbage where it belongs. Because one of the things you have to understand about order and chaos and that type of shit is you have to understand that in order for that to exist, there has to be multiple cultures. So, like, you have, whether it be the poors versus the riches or the fucking whites versus the blacks, you have to have that doubling of opposites, if you will. You have to have, one side wants something, a change, and the other side wants something different. But here's the problem. What do they want? What is it that these fuckers want? Oh, the moral majority. What do you want? Just be left alone? You just want freedom? What about rules, responsibility? What about that? None of them. They never answer that. They don't think about that. They don't think about the reason why certain things are there is because it was put there for a reason, and it's part of the culture. So, these guys are basically, again, they would be against traditionalism as well, but they're a little bit too extreme for me, So I guess the fight for the cosmic balance, I guess, I don't know. Keep going.
As I view Satanism in America during the 80s and onwards, it looks a bit cringe to be perfectly honest. Then of course
it can be, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not talking about anyone who has a deeper metaphysical speculation about the nature of the first intelligence or whatever, but I'm talking about the more antinomian provocateur archetype. But I thought to ask you about the Temple of Set. So Michael Aquino, if I'm not mistaken, he stepped aside from the Church of Satan because he believed it was too little spiritualism and too much show.
Who is Aquino?
Do you have a take on the Temple of Set?
Do you remember who Aquino was?
What was that again?
Michael Aquino is the founder of the Temple of Set. He also was a psychological warfare operator. I think it's Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino. He's a psychological warfare operator. So, when I talk about how like the alt-right is basically made up of a bunch of Satanists and shit like that, and a lot of this right have connections to Satanism, that really makes me wonder, why the fuck are they like just name dropping Aquino? A guy who legitimately is not really important in the grand scheme of Satanism and shit like that, but my God, is his backstory fucking interesting. The guy was, keep playing it, Luke. I'm going to show you exactly why. Keep playing it.
Yeah, basically imagine the Church of Satan, but they re-inject some of like the secret society nonsense back into it. So instead of it being understood to be psychodrama, there's more of a facade of actual spirituality. But Michael Aquino, who looks, sort of like a Vulcan, I suppose, he took part of the Church of Satan's leadership with him. And later on, there was a re-schismatic movement of the Temple of Set as well. So as far as I know, they're now defunct because they only had maybe a few hundred members, I think, at peak.
Oh, right. Yeah, these smaller organizations, they usually go off into different splinter groups.
It's sort of like comparing Dogecoin to Bitcoin.
Right. Yeah.
That's quite.
So going back a bit further,
this is who you're talking about.
Perhaps not safe.
This is who the guy they just talk about and they just say nothing about it. They don't fucking bring it. They name drop him for whatever the fuck reason. Maybe for clickbait reasons. I don't fucking know. That's who we're dealing with, Luke. Can you read off about section? Or would you like me to? Yeah, about. This is the Amazon. No. I send it to you over the. This is from Amazon book reviews, if you will. They actually have this guy on Amazon.
Let's see.
They just name dropped this guy. Now, I don't know how much you could lie about who you are on Amazon, but if we read off this guy's resume, it's basically a fucking resume at this point. Michael Aquino is a lieutenant colonel, psychological operations, U.S. Army, retired. He's a graduate of the Industrial College of Armed Forces, National Defense University, Defense Intelligence College, Defense Intelligence Agency, Foreign Service Institute, Department of State, U.S. Army, Special Warfare Center, Special Forces, Green Beret, Psychological Operations, Civil Affairs, Foreign Arena Officer, Area Officer, U.S. Army Command, General Staff College, U.S. Army Intelligence, and U.S. Army Space Institute. Decorations including Bronze Star.
And this guy made a Satanic Bible 50th anniversary revision.
We're just gonna just name drop this guy and not go into who the fuck he was outside of the fucking facts. Like, people talk about feds in the alt-right.
Does he have to arch his eyebrows like that?
Because he's a fucking he get out of here, you little gremlin. Go away. Go. He fucking reminds me of Stripe. He looks like a fucking human version of Stripe from fucking Gremlins. If we were to give Stripe actually like some fucking like if they anthropomorphize, which one's the one where they go from furry to fucking human or something? I don't fucking know. But yeah, that was basically, some of Styx's interview with what the hell's his name?
One.
Yeah, the golden one, yeah. And I found it it was a wasted opportunity, honestly. You should have been focusing on Aquino. That guy, I swear to you, he's the link that I would say whenever you deal with like dissident rights, people who connect to Satanism, go to Aquino first. He's the guy who fucking is probably running, not running everything, but he set up the infrastructure, let's say. I'm not slander, just saying. Go.
Satanism, but I thought to ask you about your username, so Styx666 and 666. Then I think about Aleister Crowley. Is that a person who have had some influence on you?
No, not
you
really.
You really go to Crowley first when you go 666. It's not the devil. Is that him trying to be intelligent, Luke? Like, it's not really 666. Why don't you just be Nero? Why don't you just go with Nero for that matter? Right? I'm just saying, it doesn't. If you're not going to associate with the actual fucking thing, you want to be a little bit intelligent about how you could come about and ask the question. There you go. Make it something totally unorthodox. Go on, Luke.
Okay, right. So the 666, is that just something you added to your username, or does it have a story, your username?
Yeah, originally it was just Styx Hexenhammer. I decided to get more edgy, though, anyway. Styx is the river in hell, or the marsh, rather, from the Inferno.
It's the name of a goddess.
That sort of...
It's the name of a goddess. It really is. Again, in the Greek mythology, there is a goddess called it's the river of Styx, or Styx's river, if you will. It was not. It's named after a goddess. Okay.
Lords, quasi-paganistic. Hexenhammer is the hammer of the witches, the German term for the Malleus Maleficarum, famous witch hunting guide. And then 666 partially remains there only because it helps to prevent people with small minds from subscribing to the channel. So people who might look at the hazard that I run is that a lot of people mistake me for far-right or conservative.
I'm going home. Which way to Ithaca?
It's not so easy. You must go through Hades, crossing the river Styx.
Oh, poor Homer. Poor Homer. It truly is. I bet you I find my mom there.
It's a
joke. It's a joke. It's a fucking Odyssey joke. Don't worry.
I'm a Jesus freak based on a tweet that I made. What that helps to do is that I don't want people to come aboard, see my political beliefs, and they're like, wow, I found this great YouTuber named Styx Hexenhammer. And then I make a video about religion and they get all salty about it. And it still happens anyway, but I think that having the 666 in the username helps to limit that. And so it keeps things a little bit easier for me.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. Actually, fun
so
little anecdote just from the other.
What you're saying. You like to poison the well so that way people know what you're all about right ahead of time. So, that's basically the equivalent of saying, I'm going to be a wizard, so I'm going to wear a wizard's garb, so I know exactly who to target first in, let's say, a firefight, let's say, right? That's stupid. Everyone knows you fucking you always make you make the wizard not look like he's a wizard because you want to target him because he can deal the most damage. But he wears it loud and proud. That's the type of person he is. Keep going.
The day I posted to Instagram a picture of me at a grotto for Saint Birgitta of Sweden, so it's a medieval saint. It had a cross in the background, and I asked, have you read all of my book reviews in the post on Instagram? And for anyone who's actually read my book reviews, it's quite clear that I'm not a Christian, but many comments were saying, have you become a Christian now? And that points to the fact that, and this is general advice for all content creators out there, many people, they give your content a quick glance and then they form an opinion. So without reading anything, just based on a title of a video or a picture, they draw conclusions. So I think it's quite a good way, a good strategy for you to not have to deal with these people. But yeah, as you say, you will have to deal with them anyway. And a quick note here, I'm not anti-Christian in any way. For me, on a personal note, I have grown up in, again, a quite atheistic Sweden. So for me, in a fun sense, all of these religious traditions, so Christianity and paganism, they have, in a sense,
LARPing. It's LARPing. Let's not kid ourselves. It's LARPing, but you take it seriously enough that you actually acquire skills and things like that. So you're not only just, learning how to, swing an axe in combat, but you also learn some bushcrafting, let's say, like your ancestors would. You know how to make a mud hut like your ancestors would. And that's not an insult. That's just maybe what they may have done, depending on where you are, part of your culture, what have you. There you go. Luke, we're gonna end it here soon, I'd say, because I tend to notice that a lot of people don't like it when we go over like a couple hours, let's say.
Most people don't.
They don't, yeah. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna end it like on a sad note, let's say, because I like to end it on a good note, but I want to end on a sad note just because we have stuff for next week, and I might actually do another like follow-up video after this, because we have a lot of stuff to talk about. But apparently, Thurston Waffles died.
What's that?
Thurston Waffles. He's one of an old meme. You know that cat, the white cat.
Oh,
he died.
Oh,
poor little kitty died. And here, it's right here, Luke. It's on the it's the third question down.
Third question.
Or the third. Yeah.
So.
Not the third. It's, I would say, here. So send you on the. No.
Which question? The third one or fourth one?
It's this video I wanted to show you, just so people know exactly who died, because you may not recognize him, but I recognize him. He's a 16-year-old cat and very entertaining, very wonderful. Play it.
You're crabby. Good God, cat! Wow. Yeah, wow. That was quite a whine.
I miss that. I'm gonna miss that cat. He had a lot of personality. 16 years old, Luke. May he rest in peace. Good night, sweet prince. Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, be good to one another. Take care of one another. Remember, saving the West is a side quest. This is the Digital Renegade Podcast. Out.